Okay, so far we've basically just been working with strings, right? These red data types that we've been storing in these containers. Let's look at a few more kind of really common types of data that we're going to be working with in JavaScript. The first, the next one I should say is the idea of a number. This variable stores a number. And so we've created a container or a variable called year that is equal to 2023. And so numbers are going to be blue. And they can be integers and decimals, but basically they're going to be coded blue in the JavaScript editor. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's do the next one, which is a list. So you can use square brackets to define a list of, in this case, strings. It could also be a list of numbers, but it could be basically, it just means like a set um, of, uh, of data. Is that fair? And so here I've just done it with for some Vermont towns. But the key idea is that it's this square bracket on either side of the data where each entry is separated by a comma. And that's going to define a list. Um, so you can then do some things to the list object. So I'm going to paste in this, and you can use square brackets after the list object to call the index of items in the list. So let's see what that means. Here I've said print some Vermont towns, which is this whole list, and then the second thing request is some Vermont towns bracket 0. And so if we look at the first, the response to the first request, we've got this list, Middlebury, New Haven, Bristol, and you can see the index number here, that the first item in the list is actually 0, the second one is 1, the third one is 2. The second request I did is print out some Vermont towns, but just give me the um, the item that is indexed 0, and that would be Middlebury. Is that fair? So that's a way to kind of, that's just showing you a very common kind of um, uh, method that you use with lists, which is to kind of select items from a list based on their index using this kind of square bracket approach. Um, and let's go to the next thing about lists, which is that there are going to be methods or kind of functions associated with these different data types. So what I'm showing you here is that you can use dot notation to call methods associated with the data type. Some Vermont towns is a list um, type, right? It's a list object. So what that means is that there are certain methods that are associated with list objects. In this case, I'm calling the method sort um, that doesn't take any arguments or any parameters. So it has parentheses, but the parentheses are empty. And so if I click run here, what you can see is that it's now printing out that list of towns, but it's sorted them alphabetically. Is that fair? So that is the that's a function that is often used with lists. It's also just showing you that one of the ideas here is for each type of data, there are going to be methods associated with that data type or with that kind of object type. And then you can call those methods using this dot notation. Okay, don't worry if that's too weird, but that's just the way, that's kind of the way it is. So let's maybe stop it there and we'll then keep going.